Okay, the second chapter of business studies of IGCSE is about classification of businesses. How we are going to classify the business. There are so many types of businesses going on in the market, isn't it? When you step out of the house, right next to your house, there'll be some grocery, some other store, some people selling something or the other. How do I classify them? Now, the classification is done based on two to three different criterias. The first criteria is the operations. Okay, we are going to decide the business, what category it falls into, depending upon the type of operation it performs. Okay, now suppose let's take the same furniture example that we have been taking in the first chapter. What did we do in that first chapter? In that first chapter, what was the furniture? There were some people who were cutting. There was first one person. Okay, he would cut down the trees and then he would bring it to the store. He would make the chair or tables out of it, and then he would go and sell it into the market, and whatever it was, he would do it. Okay, so this was one person doing it. Then later, due to the industrialization that had come up, people had come up with the idea of getting industries built up, and and they're going to do the specialization and division of labor led to it. Okay, so few people went to cut down the wood, some people went to shave and shape the wood, and some people would go and sell it into the market. Okay, now, so that is the operations that is happening. Okay, so here you saw that there were three stages involved in the furniture making thing. There were three stages involved. Now, what are the three stages that you have? Those three stages are, those three stages are, what are those three stages? Cutting of wood, as I told you. Okay, cutting of wood, cutting of wood is the first one. The second one is the shaping. Okay, shaping or processing of the wood. Processing of wood is there. And then the third one is your selling of the furniture. Okay, selling of furniture, what you have made, that you're going to go and sell it out into the market. Okay, now these three categories of work are happening at different levels, isn't it? Cutting of wood is happening in the forest, and the shaping of wood is happening in some industry or in some place which is away from the forest, and then selling it will happen in the market. Okay, selling of things will happen in the market. So the businesses are classified depending upon where they are operating or what kind of work they are going to be utilized in. So if here, this is the primary part of the business, isn't it? Primary part of the furniture business is the cutting of the wood, which is to be done in the forest. Okay, cutting of wood is the primary thing. So this activity, this stage of the business is called as the primary stage of the business. What is it called as? It is called as the primary stage of the business. Okay, and then following the primary, then it will be the secondary. So this is the secondary stage. What is the secondary stage? Shaping of the furniture and producing and selling it into the market what do you say, is the secondary process. And then going ahead, we have the selling one. The selling one falls under the category of the tertiary pattern. Okay, this is the third one, which is the tertiary one. So how do I write it down? We'll write it down as the tertiary pattern. Is what we have here. So the businesses are classified depending upon the activity that is being performed in here. Okay, depending upon the activity, the businesses have been classified into primary business, secondary business, and the tertiary businesses. Okay, now these were the stages that the business was working under. Okay, those were the stages in which the business was working under, and we now know that the primary business is of cutting of woods. So we, from here, it is where it is happening, it is the raw material part of the business. So if I want to explain the primary business, or if I want to explain the primary sector, these are called as sections or sectors. Okay, so we'll declare it as the sectors in here. We got the primary sector, secondary sector, and the tertiary sector in here. The primary sector of the business or industry is usually dealing with the natural resources. It is going to deal with the natural resources, and it is going to be talking about the raw materials. Okay, from where do I get the raw materials? My raw materials will be extracted from the businesses itself. Okay, Okay, so going ahead, we have the raw material and the natural resources. That part of the business is going to be called as the primary sector of the business. The businesses are divided into three categories, three sectors they are divided into. Those three sectors are the primary sector, secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. The primary sector usually deals with the natural resources and the raw materials, the extraction of raw materials, you can say. It is dealing with the extraction of raw materials. At times, extraction or mining. Why am I using this term? I'm using this term because cutting of wood is not always the business. Everywhere wood is not required. Everywhere cutting of trees is not required. Sometimes you need to dig out oils and petrols and stuff, and sometimes you need to dig out the natural resources that are existing in the surface of the earth. Sometimes it is to pluck out the cotton from the plants. So those are the different ones. So but it is dealing with something called as the extraction of raw materials. We are trying to get the raw materials out of it. That is what is called as the primary sectors in here. Okay, then you have the secondary sector of the business. Okay, so going to the second, so after the primary sector, all the businesses that are dealing with the raw material supply, with the extraction of raw material, with the methods wherein they are going to be dealing with the raw material supply and all, those categories will fall, and those businesses will fall under the category of the primary sector. Even the country's economy is divided into three parts. Okay, the country ka economy is divided into three parts. What are they? They are the primary, secondary and tertiary. Primary, secondary and the tertiary. Because economy कहाँ से आती है? Economy का मतलब क्या है? Economy means the financial condition or the finances of a country is what economy means here and here. Okay, so कहाँ से आता है? It either comes from the primary sector, which is dealing with the raw materials, either export or import. It is coming from the primary, or it is coming from the secondary business, or it is coming from the tertiary businesses. Okay, now going ahead with the secondary businesses, if I'm talking about secondary businesses, talk about the processing of the raw materials. What are they going to talk about? The secondary businesses, if I'm talking about, they are dealing with processing part. Okay, processing part of the businesses or anything. The businesses that involve processing are called as your secondary type of the businesses. Going ahead. Okay, now what falls under this category? Secondary businesses are, if I want to explain the secondary stage of the business, what is the secondary stage? Wherein manufacturing is taking place. We're using the raw materials, whatever they are available, you're going to manufacture the goods, and those goods will be finished goods that we are going to get. Okay, processing is done. Processing or manufacturing is being done in this particular secondary sector of the business. So the businesses that are usually dealing with the so the businesses that are usually dealing with the manufacturing, processing, and utilization of the natural resources, those businesses are called as the secondary sector businesses. Okay, then lastly comes the tertiary sector businesses. Okay, now tertiary sector में कौन से businesses fall होते हैं? The businesses that fall under the tertiary sector are usually related to providing services. Okay, these are related to providing services. Now, providing services in the sense, if I talk about it, providing services, what is a service? Service is intangible. What is a service? It is intangible. You cannot touch. There's no touching. There is no, you cannot see it. You can only feel it. Even if you want to feel it, only at times you can feel it, but you cannot overall judge it with the service that is being provided. So the businesses that are going to fall under the category of tertiary sector are banking, medical industry, medical work, and teaching. What I am doing in here, this is also my part of the, I am in the part of the tertiary sector where I'm providing a service, isn't it? Okay, now here what we are having is, so what I am providing and everything, these things fall under the category of your tertiary sector. Tertiary sector is about selling of goods, providing services to them, taking care of their necessities. That falls under the category of the tertiary sector. Okay, so if I consider, if there is a particular scenario given, and if people are going to ask me what kind of a business it is, which sector of the economy does it fall into, then I am going to say that it is going to fall under the category of it is going to fall under what category depending upon the business. So there is an activity given on the page, activity given on the page 2.1 in here, and that activity has listed a few things down. You need to mention what category of what sector does it fall into. Okay, so in here we have mobile repair. The ones that are given over there, that's completely fine. Now I am giving you a few ones. Mobile repair is there. Mobile repair, he's providing the service to you. Okay, and when he's providing service to you, when he's providing services to you, then what happens over here, this service is going to be not felt. I cannot feel the pain of it. For tertiary sector businesses, specifically the tertiary sector businesses, you cannot understand how much of the effort has gone in. You primary sector, he's cutting the wood and bringing down to the surface of the earth. That is what is going to do. It is going to, by the quantity of wood, I can say, oh my god, he has done so much of hard work, has brought this and that. Manufacturing mein jab ho raha hai, we can see that still they're cutting the wood, shaping it and doing this and that. Efforts are there in it. And then coming to the tertiary sector, even if the person is not working, even if the person is working for you, you cannot feel it. You when you go for a mobile repair, what do? Kya bhai, how, what brother, what have you done? You have not done much, just apne idhar udhar fix kiya hai, and then you are you have not done much of the work, right? So that is the tertiary sector. So mobile repair also, we don't usually judge how much of the work hard work has been done in it. So what it falls under the category of the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector. Let's take another example after the mobile repair shop. These are the common examples that we are seeing every day in our life. Okay, now let's take another example. Let it be something which is related to insurance. Insurance is already given out there, no problem. Okay, bakery is already given as well. Mobile phone repair we have completed. And yeah, let's take the businesses. The pearl harvest. Now pearl harvest is what I'm talking about, and the other is gold shop. Okay, now coal mining is already given. Yeah, pearl harvest. Now pearl harvest mein kya ho raha hai? Pearl is nothing but it is the type of pearl is harvesting. You're getting from the raw materials. Once you get the pearl out, then you're going to make a pearl beads necklace or something, and you're going to sell it into the market, right? So the harvesting of pearls fall under the category of harvesting of pearls falls under the category of the primary sector, because this is usually related to the raw materials that we have. Okay, and since it is related to the raw materials that we have, it goes in the primary sector of the businesses. Okay, primary sector की category में चले जाता है. Then you have the gold shop. What about the gold shop? Gold shop में क्या हो रहा है? It is only sales is being provided. They're not making it. Even if they are making it, the very minor repairs they are going to do. Not beyond that, anything will be done in the shops, isn't it? So gold shops is falling under the category of the tertiary sector, because they are just selling it, they're not manufacturing it. So tertiary sector, it falls under the category of. So this is how you need to understand what sector it falls in, and you're going to name them as well. Okay, now these sectors are very important, because if you see that without the primary sector, the secondary sector won't survive, and without the secondary sector, the tertiary sector won't survive. If I omit any of the businesses, then what is going to happen? Then at that particular scenario, we will not have any we will not have any support. If I'm omitting any of the businesses, right from the raw material to the services, it cannot be possible. Selling of wood, okay, to a certain extent, anyone, only the dealers will be able to buy it. Beyond that, no one will be able to buy my wood, isn't it? I need to process it, and only then I can sell it. So these are interdependent. Again, the word I'm using here is the primary sector, and the secondary sector that we have. And okay, this was supposed to be secondary sector, secondary and the tertiary sector, all of them are interdependent on each other. Okay, now after being interdependent, where do you see is the more of employment? Now different countries have different employment, because different countries, if I'm talking about, these countries have different economies, isn't it? The economic conditions and economy of the countries is different in here. So what's happening over there is, what we are going to do is, we are going to identify के कौन सा कंट्री में क्या होगा. Let's take into consideration Bangladesh. Okay, Bangladesh. Okay, now Bangladesh, when I'm talking about India, Pakistan and Bangladesh. Now Bangladesh is a developing country. Okay, it is a developing country, and the economy of this country is not very well when compared to the other, other countries, right? So what we have, when compared to the other countries, the economy is not that very good. So what we are doing over here is, we understand more what kind of work will be done. Mostly the primary or the secondary sector work will be done. But if you consider the Bangladesh is not having much resources available as well. Okay, it doesn't have much of the resources available. So what we understand that the secondary sector work, and we know that Zara, H&M and big brands that we have, their manufacturing of this is usually done in Bangladesh itself. So in developing countries either they will have the secondary sector, and then comes something which is the underdeveloped countries. Okay, you have the underdeveloped countries. Okay, now underdeveloped countries are usually in Africa, and we see that Africa doesn't have this and that and this, but Africa has got a lot of resources, natural resources. So that, and what work are they more invested into? They are invested into the primary sector type of the work. So the primary sector ka work is for the underdeveloped countries. The developing countries have the tertiary sector ka business, and the developed countries, the developed countries like USA and the big countries that we have, they are having, the developed countries are going to be working with the tertiary sector, providing services to the people is what they are going to do in here. So this is the basic introduction for you to identify which sector of the economy will a business fall when you are establishing it, and depending upon the majority of successes, majority of successful businesses, not just successes, majority of the successful businesses that you have, in the country. So if I see Bangladesh, what will it be there in Bangladesh? You will see more of manufacturing. So I will say that it is the economy is strong in the secondary sector for this particular country. Okay, so depending upon what major sector of the country is economy is coming from, economy means finances, the money is coming from, that category the country will fall into. Okay, there is an activity given for you. Explain what tertiary production means by using the examples from the case study. There's a case study given. Case studies we'll do later. But here you need to just understand that there is a lot of writing involved in your business studies paper. You cannot just write 1 word or 2 word answers and finish it off. When you're writing an answer, your answers are checked on your critical thinking, your analysis and your understanding. There are 4 criteria. I'm just for now explaining the main 3 criteria. How you understand the situation, how you critically utilize your information, and how you're going to analyze the answers and write them down properly in the paper is what they are going to check out. Okay, while correcting your papers. Is that fine? Now going ahead, changes in the sector importance. Now you see that over a period of time there has been countries have been constantly developing. Okay, countries started developing, economic scarcity was there, economic crisis was there, businesses had come into existence. Then what happened is, slowly improvement of the economy started happening. And how did it start happening? It started happening because of industrialization. Slowly people started adopting. Industrialization can be written with a Z A as well as an SA. Okay, industrialization started happening. Okay, now when the industrialization happened, what happened? More of the work, uh, the primary sector got detained. It was not taken into consideration anymore. And why was it not taken into consideration? For the reason, because all the work was being done by the industries and the machinery. So the manufacturing process was not existing. Primary to tertiary people wanted to go. So this is what is the industrialization has led us to. Okay, so industrialization led to what? Industrialization made us skip the secondary sector of the economy. Okay, we were directly going from the primary to tertiary. Okay, where were we going? We were going from primary to tertiary. But because the secondary sector was dropped, even in countries like in the developed countries, you see more of the employment is there in the tertiary sector, and it is not there in the secondary sector. There's not much of manufacturing happening. Manufacturing is only happening in the developing countries. Okay, so now here the secondary sector, there was a decline in the manufacturing or the secondary sector of the industry. Due to industrialization, the secondary sector was lost. So this was okay. This required us to deindustrialization. This led us to deindustrialization. Deindustrialization is where in a country there is a decline in the importance of industrialization. Is inventing of industries, or establishing industries in a country is what is called as industrialization. But this industrialization in in developing countries led to loss of labor in the secondary sector, and the secondary sector, as you see, was completely lost. This is what is, with respect to economy, it is called as deindustrialization. Okay, what is called as deindustrialization? Deindustrialization is, now you may say here you wrote Z, here you wrote an S. As I said, it can be taken as either ways. Okay, so what is happening in the deindustrialization? The company was eradicated about of the secondary sector of the economy. And so when it was eradicated, there was no industries. Even if the industry, there was no secondary sector, there was no manufacturing happening, machines were doing it. So that eradication is called as the deindustrialization. The importance of the secondary sector in a country was completely declined. Okay, now many countries have faced this particular thing. Many countries have faced this particular situation. What was that particular situation that countries have faced? They have faced deindustrialization. Only the developing and the underdeveloped countries were okay with the deindustrialization. Sorry, it was the developing and the underdeveloped countries did not face much of it, but the developed countries, complete, like UK in specific, had complete deindustrialization. The secondary sector of the economy was completely removed. Okay, another case study is given. Let's study the case studies later in the next video, all the case studies together. Now there is something called as a mixed economy. Now after this with respect to the type of work, with respect to type of work being done, the economy of a country is divided into three sectors. What it is divided into? It is divided into three sections. What are the three sections you have? Depending on the type of work, one is the primary, the second is secondary, and we have the tertiary. Okay, so this is how it is divided. Now after this, depending upon the ownership of the business, the businesses are again divided into into three categories actually. Okay, now what are those three categories? These are sectors depending upon the type of work. This is depending upon the ownership. What are the three sectors that you have? You have the private sector, the public sector, and the last one you have is the mixed economy. Okay, now you may say, what is mixed economy? We are talking about sectors in here. Then to make you understand this particular thing, that here mixed economy is an explanation, if is a country, a country's economy wherein we have the private and the public sectors working next to each other. Okay, specifically, let's take an example of UAE has mostly private sector only. They have very less public organizations, their government schools and all. Even if it is there, it is not for us. Let's take into consideration India itself. India is a very big country, and so they have some offices in some sectors under the control of the government, and some of them which are completely owned by the business officials. Okay, they're completely owned by the business officials. So that is, common man is dealing with it. Okay, a common man is owning it and all. That type of economy, like India, falls under the category of a mixed economy. Okay, depending upon the ownership, India falls under the category of ownership. Okay, so mixed economy is a country wherein both the public and the private sector are operating. That is what is called as a mixed economy. Understand? We'll look up to it in the next video.